How's it going? I'm Nick Baldwin, and we have a couple special guests with us today. The guys from Conversion Monster. We've got Ro Malik, who is CEO, and he's also a KW agent. And we have, we have out of Chicago. We also have Jeremy Cinta. Did I pronounce that right?
Close enough.
Okay, cool. Jeremy Cinta. And you are like the lead technology guru guy who sets everything up over in Conversion Monster. Exactly. And today we're going to talk about the upcoming integration that's been upcoming for 18 months. Conversion was the grand prize winner of FutureCon, which was when we used to be able to do live events. We did this live event in Las Vegas in December of 2019, and you guys voted for Conversion Monster to be integrated into Command, into campaigns, and the day is basically almost upon us, right?
So close, Nick.
So why don't you guys just tell everyone who's on here what Conversion Monster is?
Sure. So for those that don't know, Conversion Monster is a company of inside sales agents. We're helping agents all over the country convert internet leads into closings and commissions through systematic lead follow-up, long-term lead nurturing, and speed to contact. So
basically everything agents are terrible at.
Yes.
All right. So how do you do this?
So we do it really through three main ways, right? So everybody's heard about you've got to call leads within 5 minutes. So the portion that I talked about first, which is speed to contact. So every internet lead that comes in, we attempt to call that lead within the first 5 minutes, a text and email. If we don't reach that lead, we've got a couple of different cadences, but basically it's somewhere around 17 touches in the first 10 days via calls, ringless voicemails, texts, and emails. And then if we're unable to reach them in the first 10 days, we continue to follow up for another 11 months for a total of 75 touches over the course of an entire year before we actually consider that lead cold.
So you're following up. Basically, you're following up for 12 months really consistently. And a lot of that follow-up comes right at the beginning, like that. I mean, when you're getting in touch, trying to get in touch with that person, really, I don't want to say, aggressively, but that's when you're doing most of the quick touches, right?
Yeah. I mean, when the leads first come in, that's when we're first trying to get a hold of them the most, right? Those first couple of days when they come in, we want to try and make that outreach. And it seems aggressive, but it is a combination of calls, texts, and emails over the course of those first 10 days. And then we figure if they're not ready to speak to us just yet, then we give it a little bit of a break and then we ease into it, over the course of the year. But, when I look at it from our service standpoint, we don't want to consider a lead cold until we've tried working that lead for an entire year. And if they have just not responded after 75 tries and 12 months, we'll finally say, all right, I think we're good here.
Yeah, I think they might not want to talk to us.
Yeah, at that point.
So before we jump into the technical side, Jeremy, I'll go to you real quick. What do you do in Conversion Monster with the technology?
I handle all of our development. I basically head up all the technology side reports to me. So all the different departments, right? So our onboarding team reports to me. So as you're becoming a new client, that's my team that's helping white glove you into our service, right? I handle all the development with many of the different developmental teams, like, when it comes to CRMs or API, or, I'm basically kind of spearheading all of it. It's a very busy day.
Got it. So you're basically doing more than Ro.
Absolutely.
All right, cool. I don't think that's very hard to do. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Wow, that hurts, Nick. Dagger. Where is that knife?
I wanted to say I personally use Conversion Monster because about a quarter of my business has been internet lead generation, much of it through Facebook. And I'll tell you, like, in today's digital space, when people are online looking at properties for sale, I mean, you really do have to be first, because there's so much noise out there, and people are easily distracted. But I want to talk about why the approach is so much different for Facebook, because that's where a majority of our leads come from if we're creating ads through command. I want to talk about why Facebook is such a difficult lead source for agents to convert, right? Like, what are they not doing right?
Yeah.
Giving it time.
Yeah.
Oh, right. There you go. They don't give it
Right.
enough time. But let me preface it by saying we're so used to the right now, open the door, I'm ready to make an offer lead that we
Right.
get from Zillow and Realtor, whereas Facebook leads are not at
Right.
that point yet, right?
Right.
More about pipeline, right, Ro?
Well, so I mean, the main thing is I think most people understand that a Zillow lead or Realtor.com lead is all the way at the bottom of the funnel, right? Because these are non-forced registration type leads. They're coming on their own accord. And more importantly, they're requesting information or a property showing, or they have questions. And so they're very much bottom of the funnel, right? And then if you go a little further up in the funnel, you've got the forced registration leads, right? Your Google pay-per-click leads, where people are still going to a search engine, or they're going to Google and they're typing in, New Jersey home for sales, or Flint, Michigan home for sales, or Chicago home for sales, right? There's an active moment where they're going there and they're thinking, this is what I want to research and do right now. And then as you go higher up the funnel, you've got Facebook, right? Which is like, I think most people understand that you're not going to Facebook because you're looking for homes.
Right.
You're going to Facebook to check out what your friends are doing or for personal reasons. And as you're scrolling, you see an ad, which we look at as an interruption. And then you click on that ad, and then it takes you to a website or somebody's portal or whatever it might be. And so these leads, these Facebook leads, are really the top of the funnel. And then you've got kind of command leads, which, are very, very tippy top of the funnel, right? And so the idea is that we're just trying to initiate that relationship with them, right? We understand that that it's going to take some time in general with Facebook leads, because they weren't going there with that intent to actually like search for properties. They clicked on something, they ended up over there. And so if you understand that psyche, you'll understand that it's a much different type of lead, and just it's going to take longer to nurture, right? And I think the biggest misconception is that people need to know that these leads on average close between 8 to 14 months on average. From the very first time they start their search online or register online to the time they close, it's almost a year. But as an agent myself, and Nick, you're an agent, and other agents, we get kind of impatient after like 3 or 4 months if things aren't working, right? And we found and that's very conflicting, because you need to nurture these leads and follow up these leads for a long time, but our patience starts to run thin at about the 3-month mark. But if you just gave it time and nurtured it and understood that these are just, you got to keep in front of them and stay in front of them, and eventually you're going to start to build that pipeline. Once they do start going, you're going to start to fill your pipeline full of deals because you stayed in front of them for so long.
Right. And, it's very important also for agents to understand, like, the approach that you're taking with these people has to be very different. Like, it can't be like, hey, Ro, how's it going? It's Nick with Keller Williams. Hey, when did you want to see that property?
Right.
On Facebook, right?
Right.
Like, nobody goes, like you said, nobody says, I think I want to buy a house. Let me go to Facebook and maybe an ad will pop up in my newsfeed. It's the perfect
Right.
home. So
Yeah.
so that approach is not going to work, right? The
Right.
approach is more like, hey, Ro, how's it going? This is Nick from Keller Williams, and I'm just giving you a follow-up because we had a house for sale that we put up on Facebook, and I think you took a look at it. So I was just curious,
Yep.
If you had any feedback about what you liked or didn't like about the property, would really help us in
Right.
to sell the home. And so what happens is, when you ask them what they like and don't like, what do you think they're doing? They're telling you what they like and don't like, right? Oh, so what I'm hearing is you said that you liked it because it was Center Hall Colonial. Oh, awesome. Okay. So if you were going to buy a home at some point, is a Center Hall Colonial the type of home that you'd want to look at? Like you're getting information from them inadvertently, and before you know it, you've done a buyer consultation. You know what I mean? So
That's
yeah.
right. It's a much softer approach, right? And we use that leads. We use the lead for Zillow. We use the term lead for Realtor.com. We use the lead for Facebook leads, but it's a completely different type of lead and a much softer approach with these Facebook leads, right? And I was talking, some of the ISAs here, and that's it's very similar, right? We're saying, oh, we just saw that you're browsing some homes online, just wanted to reach out and touch base and see if it could be any help, right? Like just coming from a place of like, what can we do for you? Is there anything that you're looking for? Oh yeah, we're just looking. That's great. Most of our people are just looking. What is it that you're looking for? And then you're just opening that conversation, right? Because we found that most people are kind of like, they're clams, when you first try to reach out to them, and just slowly building that relationship. You're just opening it up. If you can just get them talking a little bit, they're going to be happy to like start talking to you a little bit through it. And then you'll find out what their timeline is.
Well,
Yeah.
I would like to actually add to that for one moment, if you don't mind, because I feel like a lot of times when we talk about like how we call leads a year, a lot of people think that like we're just going to call it for a year, but that's actually only if we've never made contact. If
Right.
we've made contact on this, we will nurture it for as long as we need to until it's a motivated, ready to buy or sell. Like we will continue to nurture that relationship. And there's so many things that apply to that a lot of people don't think about. Like we're the ones that are calling them every single month to make sure there are new things that have come out that maybe they're interested in, new areas they're interested in. Has their situation changed at all? But just that fact that we're continually following up with that nurtured lead is actually keeping your company's name in their mind. So say if one of their friends goes to buy or sell a house, they might not even have bought or sold with you yet and go, you know who I'm working with? Nick Baldwin. You should call him. You know what I mean? So like there's also that layer of it too that we're continually adding in by making sure that we're the ones doing those repetitive calls over that time while we're waiting for you to become motivated that most agents don't have the time for.
Yep.
Yeah, you make a good point. Like there's been a few times where, I have started a relationship with someone who came and found my ad on Facebook, and I haven't sold them a home, but because of my constant attention to them, they've referred me to a friend or family member. So that's a very good point. And I did not know, by the way, that you only nurture for a year if you just can't get a hold of them. But if you have gotten a hold of them and they're not ready to purchase, you'll still continue to nurture even if it's
no limit.
I didn't know that.
It's just wording, right? I felt like this was just something we started tackling internally, was about like maybe we just weren't picking the right wording for it, because it's important people know that, just because they're not ready for a year and a half, we're going to keep working it for that year and a half, calling them every month, reaching out, sending texts, getting new updates, doing things that keeps your team in their mind when they're ready to act.
Your brand. Yeah. Your brand in front of them the entire time. Right.
Yeah, so, and by the way, I want people to think about like, following up is like the word we're terrible at it. The way we do it, is, oh, I texted and nobody got back to me. Right. Like I emailed them and nobody got back to me.
Right.
And, you drop the ball so many times and you're not going to feasibly be able to consistently reach out over the course of 12 months. I mean, I know I'm not, and sometimes even with automation, it's really hard to do that. So do you guys have different approaches? Because I've noticed in my CRM, there are different approaches, but what are the different approaches you guys take for like a Facebook opportunity or a Zillow opportunity? What are some of the scripts or texts that you guys use?
Yeah, I think, instead of the scripts or the text, really, it's more about like the idea when you get a Zillow lead is that we want to qualify that lead as quickly as possible, but really we don't want to get in the way of getting that over to the agent, right? A lot of the agents have said, that's great, qualify, but just get it over to me as quickly as possible. Same thing kind of with the Realtor.com to a lesser extent in getting that over. But with the Facebook and the Google pay-per-click leads, like, sure, they want the qualification. They want that full qualifying process to go all the way through, right? And so for the people on the call that might not know, it's, we're building rapport. The ISAs are trained in building that rapport, but we also want to balance it so they're not on the phone with them too long, so that if they do want to talk to an agent, they don't feel like they just spent 20 minutes with one person and now you're going to transfer me to somebody else, right? Even though we are basically acting as if we're the assistant of that agent, right? We still have to find that balance. And so those qualifiers are basically, what's your price point? What neighborhoods are you looking in? Have you been pre-approved for financing? Are you working with an agent? What are the things that you're looking for in a home? And then most importantly, are you looking to buy or sell in the next 6 months? If the answer is yes, in the next 6 months, then we're going to want to attempt to live transfer that lead over to the agent right after that. If they're more than 6 months out, then what we're going to do is focus on nurturing that lead until they get to the 6-month mark, so that the agent only has to worry about the 6 months of hot leads that are right in front of them, not the one that says they're going to buy 2 years from now.
So I'm just pulling up one of the qualifications from the other day.
Yep.
But Holly on the Zoom has a great question, right? So with Zillow, their ISAs, they will say, "Hi, this is Ro with Zillow."
Right.
What do you guys say when you reach out to an incoming lead?
We're always calling on behalf of the agent. So Conversion Monster is never mentioned anywhere in that call. We're always calling on behalf of, I'm calling on behalf of the Ro Malik team, Chicago Homes 360 team at Keller Williams, Chicago Lincoln Park. My name is Adam. I'm calling on behalf of the Nick Baldwin team. My name is Joe. I'm calling on behalf of such and such agent. It's never Zillow. It's never Conversion Monster the way Zillow calls, right? It's your leads. It's your branding. We're calling as an extension of your team. We like to think of ourselves as just almost as if we were sitting next to you in the office, right? Like we have that kind of relationship. We're invisible. We're not a call center. We want to give the illusion in a good way that we're there with you, right? Like we have that relationship with you.
So so I hope that answers your question, Holly. And there's a couple more I'll get to in a second, but I also want to read, this was a Facebook buyer that came in from Command, and Conversion Monster qualified. Now I uploaded them to a separate CRM that is currently connected to Conversion Monster, but soon I won't have to do this if I'm generating leads through Command. But not only are you guys asking the basic questions like, when are you looking to buy or sell? Where do you want to look? So this person was looking up to 450,000 criteria. This is the information that your ISA Elizabeth got. It says Patrick is currently working on a pre-approval. He's interested in speaking with an agent so he can purchase in the next 6 months. As soon as his pre-approval is complete, he works in Manhattan. He would like an easy commute over the bridge to and from Bergen County. His criteria is fairly open. He's looking for anything really, even a fixer-upper. So, I mean, he doesn't really know what he wants specifically, but once he begins seriously looking, he will be able to narrow down his criteria. I mean, this is some detailed stuff. And by the way, guys, it's always that detailed if the person is willing to give it, right? But one thing I've always loved about your ISAs, and I think this is really important, they ask really good questions. So are they coached on their scripts? And if so, like, how does that work?
Yeah.
Yep. So our a little bit of background. So our training, when new ISA comes in, they're basically in training for almost the first 30 days. So the first full month they're in training. They go from like almost a level 1 trainer to a level 2 trainer. So they spend almost the first 30 days in complete training. After the 30 days are up, then they go into another set of training where they're basically just making calls on like the cold calls. So these are like things that we haven't reached in 6 months, right? They're trained enough to go on, they're ready to make calls, but they're really focusing on the cold and the nurture calls. And then we're structured where we have around 10, 11 ISAs to a team leader. And those team leaders were at one point our best performing ISAs. and they are now running those teams. They're not on the phones, and they're fully invested into helping all those ISAs get better. And what we do in this remote environment is everybody's been really working from home. We're looking to come mainly back to the office. So they do a lot of auditing. They do a lot of call auditing, listening to their calls. They're doing a lot of coaching. They're doing a lot of training. And that makes up a big chunk of their day, because in our world, we get a lot of curveballs. These ISAs get a lot of curveballs. And so we have found that through these 2 levels of training before they even get on the phones and make cold calls, they make calls for around another month. And then once they've earned the right, then they get on to what we call like the new leads or the fresh or the new internet leads, but not until they're 100% ready. And we feel that, and their team leaders and managers feel that they're ready to go. And then they handle the training. So, and then in addition to that, I think we've mentioned it, a few times, but he's, a former MAPS coach, 30 years of training. He owns a couple of KWs. His name is Brian Eisenhower. He's known as the real estate trainer. He's one of the ones that had originally helped us put all of our script books together. We hired him to create videos and materials, and it's all ingrained in part of our training program.
That's awesome
as well. And he was a former MAPS coach for 20 years.
So obviously we're going to get into pricing. We're going to get to how this is going to work with inside of Command, but there's a couple questions from the group that I want to jump into.
Sure.
So Kim Ross is asking, what's a good number of leads to start with? She's doing paid Facebook ads through Command, but not getting more than 25 leads for $30 spend, which, by the way, Kim, I mean, that's a really good cost per lead, right? Like that's like $1. What is that? Like $1.75 or something. So that's a great CPL. Don't think otherwise. But what's a good threshold of spend to get greater than X number to get started with you guys? Now, I know that you recently changed your model. So you used to have like a fixed number of leads that you had to bring in.
Right.
But how have you changed that up?
Yeah. So thanks for the question. Just 2 answers. So the first one would be, I don't know if there's necessarily a right or a wrong answer, but like to how many leads you should have, right? But like if you're a single agent and you didn't have help, I don't think a solo agent should probably get more than 30 or 40 leads a month by themselves without having some sort of support or team, or if they had other ISAs at their whatever, right? Like I think that's about the magic number if you were trying to do it yourself. If you're growing, our average client across everything is around 150 leads a month. So I can kind of give you like, so solo agent, probably the most that you can handle is about 30 to 40 leads a month. And then what our average client sends us is around 150 leads a month. Okay. And so how our pricing works is, before it was packages. So for 100 leads, it was X price. For 200 leads, it was another price. For 300 leads, all the way up into the thousands. We've just recently changed that because it was like, sometimes you weren't getting to 100 leads, or you were going over 100 leads, right? And so then you were paying and overage charges and things that people weren't thrilled with. And so we listened, we heard our customers, and we changed our pricing model. So now it's just a straight $295 a month for the platform cost, and then it's just $5 a lead flat. So whether it's 30 leads or 100 leads or 1,000 leads.
But I also want people to understand, like we were saying before, that $5 per lead.
Yeah.
I mean, they're getting 75 touches throughout the year if they're not converted.
That's right.
So if they are contacted and they are more than 6 months out, like Jeremy said, they'll continue to follow up monthly. So it's not like it's $5 as the lead comes in. I want you guys to think of it as each lead, no matter if you're nurturing it for 12 months, 18 months, or 6 months, or 1 day, it's $5 over the lifetime of that lead until they're converted, right?
Yep.
So that's a huge,
per new lead, right?
Per new lead. Yep.
Yeah.
Which leads me to, and I know there's a couple questions before before Sue. Sue has a lot of Facebook leads from the past. Do you guys call those, or is it only like when you turn it on, it's only the new ones instantly?
So we have a legacy revive program that we rolled out where we will do a bulk of older leads. So these could be anywhere from 3 days to 30 days to 3 years to 5 years old. And we have a similar program. It's slightly less phone calls, but same number of touches. So what we do is we replace some of the phone calls with ringless voicemails. So we have phone calls, we have ringless voicemails, we have texts, and we have emails, and 75 touches. So we still do 75 touches for these legacy or these older leads. And this is, we call it our revive program, right? Because we're bringing these leads back.
Okay, so you do that. I got
Yep.
it.
Yep. Absolutely.
Okay, that's awesome. So Jack makes a good point. $1.75 for the lead acquisition cost plus $5 for 75 touches for a total of $6.75 still kicks Zillow's blue butt in terms of lead
Well,
cost.
think about how much a Zillow lead costs, right? So if you were to put that same spend into command leads, how many leads can you get?
A
You might
billion.
end up with 2 opportunities for that one Zillow. You know what I mean? Like when
Right.
you're working it out.
100%. So some agents are asking if, should their agents still continue to call the leads even if Conversion Monster are doing it? And I'll tell you from my experience. Okay, so like in 2019, I'm not in production anymore because I transitioned into regional tech role at the end of 2019. But I had 2 teams at the time. I had a team in Michigan and a team in New Jersey, and our volume for both teams was about 35 million. And I can say that Conversion Monster helped close about, I think 12, I want to say 12 million or 12 or 15 million with their help. But my agents in both states still called the database Monday through Friday from 9 to 11. Always, right? That's the first thing they did. They went into the CRM and they looked at the hand raisers. The hand raisers are the people who have most recently visited the website.
Yeah.
Those are the people where you're top of mind because they literally visited your site within an hour or 2. So yes, we still did that. We always followed up with by phone the most recent people to hit the site every single morning.
Well, that also brings up a really important point, Nick, is also we try to remind people that, we're qualifying for you. We're giving you a good opportunity, but there still is a little bit of legwork that comes after we hand it off to you, right? There's
For
still going
sure.
to be some follow-up on that. But here's the great news. That's all your time is spent on, right? When you start getting your pipeline going and we're passing off lots of opportunities, your time is really just spent nurturing those opportunities, not trying to find new ones.
Right.
Well, by the way, when I get this, okay, so let's go back to when you transfer the call, right?
Mhm.
So you'll try to if they're 6 months or less. They don't always want to be.
That's
right?
right.
But if they're not, you schedule a day and time that they said you could reach back out to them.
Well, here's the news that we wanted to announce on the Command Your Conversion group.
Oh, is there a big announcement?
Breaking news, breaking news,
Bum, bum,
breaking
bum.
news.
Row, we have breaking news.
Breaking news live from Buffalo, New York headquarters. We're actually going to a live transfer only model. So what we're going to do is instead of setting the appointment for the agent to call them back at a later point in time, if they're not ready to speak to an agent or they can't talk till after work or lunch or the next day or whenever it is, instead of setting that appointment and asking the agent to try and call them back and get them on the phone, we're going to do it. So we're going to set the appointment. We're going to call them back at that time.
Oh,
Yeah. And then
okay, because you got me nervous for a second. I'm like,
we're done. We're not doing appointments.
Because I'm not currently in production, but I have referral partners in 2 different states, like some of my agents in New Jersey and Michigan. So, okay, so basically if they say, no, I don't want to be live.
Well, you're appointment only, right? So like we might, in certain cases,
appointment.
you're
Right.
appointment only.
Okay.
So that's different. Yeah.
We still have that window where those people are allowed to be appointment only.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
the standard client,
Got
it's
it.
going to
So-
be, instead of you calling and maybe not getting them on the phone and now you got to remember to follow up, that's us. We'll call back. And if
Yep.
they happen not answer, we're going to keep calling to give them
Correct.
that.
That's a really good, because here's what happens, guys, right? Like if you get an appointment date and time to make that call back as the agent, it's gonna be hard to get them back on
Yeah,
the phone.
right.
So that can get very frustrating for the agent.
Exactly.
So that's great because you're gonna relieve some of that frustration and stress.
That's what it is, right? Or you couldn't call at 2 o'clock when we set it, and you call at 2:30, and then you can't get him on the phone, and then you try
Or
again. Yeah.
Sometimes when you send over the qualification, maybe no one's available at that specific time.
Right.
So that's really good too. Hey, I
Yep.
want to just jump into Sue says, as a single agent, 30 leads per month equals $1,800 per year. That makes sense. Is that about right? I'm trying to do the math, but I can't do the math in my head. Are the calls recorded? Terry Finelon in Michigan, Brighton, Michigan wants to know if the calls are recorded.
Yeah, the calls are recorded, and we use that for training and auditing with our team leaders. That's how we're auditing the calls, and that's how we're coaching them.
And can we hear those at all?
Yeah. So if you have access to we build our own software and our own CRM. So if there's instances, or if you need to hear those calls, or you want to hear, or you want to see what they sound like, sure, we can open that up so you have the opportunity to listen to what the ISA sound like. In all honesty, it becomes a little bit of a slippery slope because every agent sells a little bit differently.
Right.
And so our ISA sell differently than the agents do. And so sometimes I say, well, I wouldn't have said that, or I wouldn't have said that, or I would have said it this way. Right. And so I think there's lots of different ways to sell and close. But
right. Well, you have to look at it like this. Yeah. This is not an in-house ISA, right?
That's correct.
You're doing this at scale.
Right.
And you're also paying scale prices as a customer, right? Like you're paying nowhere near how much you would pay an in-house person, like 60 grand a year.
Especially for the coverage.
Yeah. Right. So with that, there are some exceptions, right? Like you guys have to have scripts that are consistent, so your ISAs always stay on track and say the right thing. So that's kind of what it comes down to.
So it works in Texas just like it does in New York.
Right. Oh, that would never work in my market.
Yeah.
So here, let's talk about, so one quick question, then I want to jump into how the command integration is going to work.
Yep.
I did get that up too. Nick,
oh, you did? Okay, so you got this up. So somebody was asking, how do you live transfer? Like, what's the process?
Sure. So after the qualifier, what will happen is they will put the lead on a brief hold. They'll contact the agent, and then when the agent answers, they'll say, "Hey, Nick, it's Ro giving you a call from the office. I've got Mary on the line. She's looking for a 2-bedroom home and $350,000. She wants 2-car garage, a pool. She's been pre-approved for financing, and she's not working with an agent. Is it okay if I patch her through? Is it okay if I put her through?" Agent says, "Yep, sure, go ahead." And then says, "Okay," and I'm sending her through right now. And then they do a warm handoff and a live transfer. And then within that second, she's handed off to the agent. So they give them a brief overview of what's going on, just a quick synopsis, because we don't want to keep them on hold too long. And then in the same instant, the qualifying email is coming over at the same time, which tends to have even more detailed information that they can use later or they can look at later. But in that moment, it's probably about a 10-15 second handoff.
Got it.
Just to give them enough information that they can start the conversation.
That's awesome. All right, cool. So good stuff. So how is the command integration going to work? That's the big question. I can jump into my command account and show everyone kind of like what's happening on the back end in terms of how it's going to work, right? Like,
while you're bringing that up, I can talk about like the actual sign up too in the marketplace. It's like you would handle it right through the marketplace. Once you sign up, you would be redirected to go fill out a short form where you schedule a call with my onboarding team. And then, it's a short call, maybe 30 minutes, goes over like some basic information we need about your team, get everything going for you. About a week later, you go live. Right before you go live, you meet with your success manager, where they're gonna, discuss more about like, your team and what makes your team unique and talking points for our ISAs, things like that. And then from there, once we flip it on, like from our side saying it's your live date, you didn't really have to do anything else on your side except what you're about to show right now. and it's easy. So like, I just wanted to demonstrate that what you're seeing right now is pretty much the extent of what you're really going to have to do.
Well, I'm going to show right now. I haven't shown because I wanted to wait till you were done the talking, so there was no like confusion on their end. But I also wanted to say that you guys, you don't have to, like, if you, let's say I ran an ad, spent $100, I generated 75 leads. You guys are following up and nurturing all of them. I don't have to run any more ads or campaigns in order for you to continue to follow up on those. So like if I generate 75 leads and I'm like, you know what, that's good, just work on those. That's my choice, right? I don't have to always be running ads.
Yeah.
That's cool. So here's what I was going to show. And Jeremy, you can, talk on this too. So you guys are going to have something like this: lead settings in campaigns, in between Facebook ad and duration and budget. When you click lead settings, the way Conversion Monster knows that it should start following up with this specific person is through an auto tag. So what is that auto tag going to say? And I want everyone to know that, like, when you create a campaign, you're going through the motions. If you want Conversion Monster to intercept leads from this campaign, when you get to auto tag, you choose the tag. So what's the tag going to say? So you guys know to start reaching
It will
out.
say CM Start. It actually should already be in there, I believe. I think they pushed it through. And yeah.
Well, I have CM Start because I had you guys from Follow Up Boss and I moved all my Follow Up Boss stuff over. So it may not be a good example.
Okay. Well, it will be
That
CM
actually
Start.
might be.
It will still be CM Start. And once we go live, they'll be hard coded in. When you become a client, it automatically appears for you.
Okay. So CM Start, if I wanted Conversion Monster to work this lead, work the leads coming in, I would tag it CM Start, and then I would also tag it with any other tags that I would want for my own database. I also believe, and I'm not 100% sure, that, well, this is a new feature too. You'll be able to assign to a specific smart plan. So when a lead comes in, you'll be able to auto tag and assign to a specific smart plan. But I believe, this is what Mike from KW was telling me, there's going to be a smart plan that says Conversion Monster, but it's not an actual plan. It just is like one step Conversion Monster, right? So I'm not sure if that's still going to be in there, but the auto tag is important. So yeah, awesome. All right. And then do you have, Jeremy, do you have photos of what it looks like in the timeline? Jeremy, you there? Hello? Oh, what? What happened? Where'd he go?
He was like, you're like,
I know.
Jeremy,
Oh my gosh, I didn't know he was
Jeremy?
spoken. All right, cool. Oh,
he's
here he
coming
is.
back. He's coming back.
Jeremy, you're back, buddy.
Oh, well, his chair's back.
So are you answering some of these questions? Oh, Jeremy.
There he is.
Jeremy.
I was like, don't put me on the spot with the tech questions, man.
Jeremy, what do you have photos of what it's going to look like in the timeline?
I do. You know what? Can I just share my screen real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Let's see.
You should
It
be able to
actually
share.
doesn't let me share.
Oh, here you go. And go.
There we go. Okay, let's see. We got command widgets right here.
This is
Okay.
cool. I've never seen this before, so I'm excited.
So this right here, I think you should be seeing a lead right now.
Yeah, we see it.
Every note you see actually came from our CRM to this lead. So as you see, it looks just like any other one in command. But the difference, because I mean, this was also during our development phases. What you see here is like, this will be a delimiter that will appear before almost every note of ours. So you'll know that
you'll know Conversion Monster wrote that note.
Yeah, so it will look like yours, but it will just have our name before it that will then come after it. So when we send a text, it will say text sent. When we receive one back, it will say text received. It will show the emails that we send. That will all be included right in it. We receive any tags that we put on it. As you can see right here, the CM Start tag is on it. And then it's just every single thing we do, every single one of these are from our CRM that we work here, but it appears where you see it right in your CRM.
Yeah, that's super cool. And the different colors and stuff. What now, if someone, let's say the agent gets a hold of them before you do, which sometimes happens, and they want you to stop.
CM stop. So you could easily go right in, and right where this tags are, there is also going to hard code in a CM stop tag. So as soon
have
as
to
you put that
remove- you have
CM
to
stop
remove-
tag on it,
You have to
it's,
remove CM start.
you do not.
Okay.
You just
That
actually
extra step. That extra
CM
step
start
agent-
is almost like a, once it's there, leave it there. Don't touch it. I think there actually is something where if you remove it, command stops sending us API calls on it. So we want to be a little careful with that. We're trying to make it where it can't be removed once it's on.
yeah, because that would be, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I just want to, guys, I just wanted to add one thing there. I don't think we exactly answered, I forgot the lady's name that had asked the question, but she had asked, like, should my agents or should agents continue to work alongside of Conversion Monster? And I think we answered like what happens after the lead is transferred over, but I think this is a great place because we're talking about CM start and stop. What I wanted to say is it's about 50-50 with our agents and our teams in terms of like the agents working right alongside of us. So we have found once this is obviously integrated, if you have a team or your agents, you can go in there just like Jeremy's showing you. You can see the work that's been done. And if you're working on your prospecting and if you're calling in the mornings and you're going through this, you can see all the communication that's already happened with the ISAs. And you're more than welcome to jump in and do that. And so right here, what we're talking about is if you do make a connection and you're able to reach a lead, you can just add a CM stop tag and then we won't contact that lead anymore. And we'll know that like you now have that relationship.
Hey,
I would add to that too, that say we handed this specific lead to you as a hot lead. And you're talking for a while and then they start to ghost you and you're like, you know what? I don't have time to keep following up with them. I want Conversion Monster to keep working it. The same way, we also have a re-engagement tag where you can literally just add that as well. And this one, excuse me, you would want to remove the CM stop before you put that on. I apologize. But you put CM revive on that and it's going to kick it right back into a special protocol where our scripting and our content it's changed to actually verbalize that we have spoken to you, that we have it's not like a content is one way if we've never spoken to you. It's now content that all caters to the fact that we have qualified you. And now we're trying to reach back out again.
Got it. Hey, so I just want to make sure that everybody understands one of the major value propositions is that your ISAs are all US based.
Yeah.
So everyone's in the United States. So someone was asking, is it better than another ISA company? So, I mean, we're not going to stand here and say it's better, but we're going to say all of these ISAs live in the United States. And that definitely helps because it's not going overseas.
That's right.
And yeah, can you explain a little bit more about that and why you decided to go that route?
Yeah, I mean, we know one of the questions was asked, well, how do you guys compare to My Outdesk? I don't know much about My Outdesk other than I believe they're in the Philippines. Yeah. So, I mean, I think they're a decent company. I've got nothing negative to say about them. I can just only speak to what we do, which is that, we made a decision, even though obviously it costs exceptionally more to only hire US based agents. But we just feel like for real estate, like that's just, I mean, I'm an agent and I'm picky, who's representing my brand. I'm super picky as to who is going to be calling for me, who I'm going to allow to call my leads, who's going to represent me well. And I wanted to make sure that like that was translated. And so when we coach and we train our ISAs, it's bled into them. I mean, it's ingrained into them that you are representing the agent's brand, right? And we felt like we wanted them all here in the US where they could be by us, where we can coach them, where we can train them. I can get in front of them anytime I need to. I can be present. I'm back and forth from Chicago to Buffalo, right? We're all here. That's really important. And then I think the other piece is that I came up on internet leads. Like I'm different than most agents that built their business on a referral model. So for better or for worse, I came up converting internet leads, and this is what we focus on. So when the market shifts or things are shifting with internet leads, or, we're doing different techniques, we're in it every day. Our teams are in it every day. And what we're learning, we're passing that information along to Conversion Monster to continuously improve the process. We're by no means perfect. But as things change, we're always trying to make those adjustments in real time. And that helps that my team there is still in production, and we can take those lessons and we can convert those and help the teams here.
Yeah,
and it's Keller Williams, right? So we understand the models as well.
100%.
Yep.
Peter in the chat has a good question. And I kind of touched on this before, but I can kind of get a little bit deeper. His concern is that there's going to be too many touches between what you guys do and what he might do, right? And what's a good balance. So this is what I would do, Peter. This is what I did with my team and my agents. So Conversion Monster, I never had to worry whether a lead was going to get, contacted. Never had to worry. And so what we concerned ourselves with as a team and my agents, they would lead generate from 9 to 11 every day. And they would, like I said before, go into the CRM, go into the database. And this was Follow-Up Boss. They would start prospecting and following up with the people who have most recently visited the website. That's what they would do. So, and I know that Conversion Monster is, and just because they most recently visited the website doesn't mean that they're new, right? So the thing is, like, is there too much? I mean, I'm sure there could be, but I feel like as long as you have that follow-up and that consistency, that only resonates as a good thing, and you can pose that to the potential client. Like some people say to me, you've been following up too much. I go, thank you so much. Like that's the biggest. Did you know that more than half the people who inquire about homes never get a single call back? So we really pride ourselves to make sure that you do, right? So like, listen, you're going to come across it, but just use it as a plus and an objection handler,
We feel like we're politely persistent, right?
Listen, for all I know, you really want to buy a home, and I know that lots of people don't get called back.
Yeah, so, and until we've heard from you, we want to make sure that like we're not dropping the ball on our ends, right? We haven't heard from you either way, but we're always very respectful, very polite. It might sound like a lot, but that cadence is meant from a follow-up standpoint to stay in front of those leads, right? But we're always polite and respectful.
I have to tell you something. There is nothing better. Like when I get a qualified email from Conversion Monster about a lead, I'll go to my database to see when that person came into the database. And the coolest thing is like when you see that you guys qualified somebody and they literally entered the database within an hour, sometimes 15 minutes. And I'm like, oh man, they already got them on the phone, right? Like within an hour. Like that is the coolest stuff. It's like Christmas.
Right.
So someone's asking what kind of experience do you guys look for when you're hiring your ISAs, which is a really good question.
Yeah. I mean, we use a little bit of the old school Keller model too, right? We send out disc tests, we send out personality tests, believe it or not.
Yeah.
to all the applicants. It's not a foolproof way, but we're definitely looking for sort of an IS type personality in the old method. We're looking for people that are outgoing. We're looking for people that can carry a conversation. We're looking for people that just have a natural ability to handle a conversation. It's kind of a wide range, right, in terms of what we're looking for. But somebody that's definitely had his experience, like some sales experience. And it could be even in the world of like the service industry, right? They could come from even real estate agents. Great real estate agents have come from bartender and waitress backgrounds, just people that can carry conversations. So we have a lot of different qualifiers. We take them through a written test. We take them through like a trial in terms of like qualifying the leads. We have them do tests before they actually start. And then once they've made it through 3 layers of interviews, then only do we hire them and bring them on.
Okay, so I'm going to show somebody, you know what, I just realized I'm going to show a daily report. What do you think about that?
Please do.
All right, so you guys have to give me a second. I'm going to show you this daily report. I have to bring it up on my screen. Every day, every morning, you'll go into your email and you'll have a report on what Conversion Monster has done the day before and has done year to date and month to date. So I just want to pull this up and show you guys what this looks like, because it's pretty impressive, because people are asking, well, what's the conversion rate? Like, what's the contact rate or the qualification rate? You know, and this just basically shows it. So let me share my screen. I had to bring this up. Now, when I was in production in 2019, it was much higher, but these are the numbers I have now not being in production. So, Ro, if you want to kind of talk about what this is reading, what this says here.
Right. So you get a daily report every morning that is a summary of the previous day's activities. So it lets you know that, because a lot of times there's this, you know, when you first sign up with us, you go from.
Oh, wait, by the way, these numbers, sorry, the orange graph, that's for February, just so you know. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, February, right. So like people have this feeling of like, now my leads have been sent over. Are they working them? You know, are they doing the work, right? And so, yeah, sure, you can go into the CRMs and you can look at it, but we just want to give you a daily summary. So what this report tells you is this is sent every single day, the number of calls that were made on your behalf yesterday, the number of text messages that were sent, and if any ringless voicemails or emails were sent out that day. Week to date, we've had 4 appointments or 4 opportunities that we've sent over. We don't do transfers for Nick's team, so that's why it says just appointments. And then month to date, so through the 25th, we've set 28 appointments for him. And again, that's why you don't see transfers. And then year to date, so over the course of the first 56 days. Yep, the first 56 days. And then the second one is our month to date production. So again, for February, the number of leads that we've worked, the number of contacts total that we've made, right? Because we're also working leads for the previous months. Again, we don't do any transfers in the 28 appointments are the month to date. And then the nurtures. So the nurtures are the people that have expressed interest in buying or selling, but they are more than 6 months out. So we're going to continue to nurture those. And you'll see in the nurture bank, we added 3 yesterday, and we're nurturing 769 nurtures for Nick.
So you know what's awesome about that? I don't ever have to spend another $1 on lead generation, because there's almost 800 people there that I might get appointments with.
Yeah.
And Jeremy left again. Jeremy's your tech guy.
Right. He's my IT guy. He's not making me look very good right now.
Someone went to come into my office.
He's the IT guy. Can't even get a good internet connection. But anyway, guys,
work on his Wi-Fi.
So for those of you who are asking, there you go. There's your answer. But overall, Ro, on average, you know, I'm sure that you have numbers, like what's your lead to qualification rate?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, it varies dramatically can vary dramatically by lead source, right? Like when you're in the Zillows and Realtor.coms, you're in the 40%, you know, range. When you're Google force registrations, the Boomtowns, the Syncs, the Real Geeks, you're in the, on average, again, you know, 15%, 16% opportunity rate, right? So 15, 16 out of every 100. And then Facebook is around 10%, 9%, 11%, 8%. However, with Facebook, over the longer term, those numbers increase, because remember, those are much different in the nurturing process. So as you start slower, just like with the pipeline, but as the months progress, you see those numbers skew upwards and you start to get into the double-digit range. And they start to compete almost with the Google PPC numbers.
Just since this started, though, by the way, I've seen 2 leads that were nurture leads for our clients that have converted, that have become opportunities, I should say.
Love it.
Because the conversion comes from the agent, but we give you the opportunity, right? 2 have become opportunities. 1 we have been nurturing for the last 9 months, and 1 was 12 months. So like, well, you know, converted on the 12th.
Here's the thing. Well, and Vishal, that's amazing. And Vishal says CM should hire Nick as a full-time salesperson.
We can't afford him.
He's convincing me. Listen, if you guys,
He's big time now.
honestly, dude, like, and I'm not just saying this, like, you guys know, if you've been following me and Tristan from Lab Coat Agents, like, we really only get behind companies that perform, right? That really show results. And you know, when Conversion Monster did FutureCon, there were 18,000 KW agents watching, and 25% of those agents voted to have Conversion Monster inside of Command. There were like 30 tech companies competing and all giving pitches, and Conversion Monster won out of 30 tech companies. But yeah, Tristan and I only stand behind companies that actually show results for us, right? And so I know if you're trying to scale your business, it can be extremely stressful, you know, getting a lead at, 8:00 at night, when you're paying Zillow $1 jillion for like 4 leads and one comes in, or you're spending money on Facebook and one comes in, and you're home and you're putting your children to bed and that lead pops up and you freak out, right? Because that lead could cost you $500 depending where you got it from.
Yeah.
If it was like a Zillow or Realtor.com. Like, I have never had such peace of mind, because even if it's 3:00 in the morning, you guys will send a text. That person's awake.
Right.
You know what I mean? You won't call, but
We won't call. But
that's another thing. You're 24/7, 365. Well, you have limited hours on national holidays at Christmas and stuff, but
Christmas and Thanksgiving, limited hours. But yeah, so 363 days.
We've even taken some of those away from people.
yeah.
But Nick, I like to say, I always like to say this to the team, I'm like, what is the cost of a lost opportunity? Right? Because we get a little bit spoiled with leads, right? Oh, I had 3 yesterday. I'll get 3 more tomorrow. I'll get 3 more. You know what, it's too late. I didn't call them in 5 minutes, or it's 2 hours now. They're probably gone. I'm not going to bother. Well, I got 3 more coming tomorrow. Right. And I always say that could have been the one. So how do you measure the cost of a lost opportunity? You can't. Right. And that's what I think why I started the company as a need for myself is I needed the peace of mind.
Right.
It was driving me crazy. I needed a solution for my business.
Hey, can you, before we jump off,
Yep.
I'm sure we're off to go, can you just tell us how it's possible for you guys to respond so quickly to like hundreds or thousands of leads coming in every hour from multiple different agents across the country?
Sure.
Because people are like, how could you possibly do that? Really? Like, how?
Well, my director of IT is on the phone, and he
But he can't get an internet connection, so I'm not going to ask him.
We spent through a lot of trial and error over the first few years building out a lead management system, which is a stripped down version of a CRM. Right? It didn't exist in the marketplace, so we had to build it. So it doesn't exist. It took us a long time to get there. We built it, and then we built the telephone technology. So when we connect to your CRM, when a lead comes in, it reverse rings the next available ISA right away. So the team sets it. They set the speeds per the people that we have. And what basically happens is when a lead comes in, they're not outbound dialing, it's already ringing. So it's going right to the next available ISA. And so that's where our speed comes in. And it's really staffing. It just comes, we've got 80 ISAs here right now. We're staffed heavily because that kind of separates from a lot of other companies. We call within 5 minutes, right? I know there's other companies that text or do other things, but we call within 5 minutes. And for us, we have to stay properly staffed at all times to meet that demand.
You want to know what I've also noticed before we jump off? Speaking of which, the call, I have noticed that I don't have a percentage of this, but more of the qualified leads that I get from you guys actually happen over the phone as opposed to text message, which is extremely interesting, right?
Yep.
Because we are calling.
What's that?
I think that's the difference, right? Because we're making more calls than the average person is used to being able to make on their own leads.
Yep.
So like you're going to see that more, where it's not like just the drips going out that cause the text. But don't get me wrong, we have a fair share of text conversions, people that only want to talk in text. We have a department for it, but I think that that's why you see that, because we're actually making more calls than the average agent is used to seeing made to get that to be a higher number.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it. All right, well, listen, guys, this has been so awesome. When can we? I mean, we don't ever. This is Keller Williams. We don't want to give him like, listen,
like one more year, I think it'll be
You know what? I want to say
this can happen on a Tuesday at some point.
I am cautiously optimistic that within 30 days.
Okay, good, because that's what I wrote in the chat window, Jeremy. 30 days.
30 days from 30 days from now.
Yeah. I'm doing full run-throughs tomorrow.
See,
that's what I'm going to be doing all day. I'm going to be trying to break it tomorrow.
I never said 30 days from any. I never gave a specific date. Like 30 days from
2022. No, it's 30 days.
We learned from the mobile app that KW should never give release dates for things.
Yeah.
So, but I have also been on top of them but here's the thing. Command wasn't ready for you guys 18 months ago. It just wasn't there.
No.
It wasn't ready for us 8 weeks ago.
He said it.
He
said it.
I was going to send this to Gary, but I don't know.
And that's why we don't normally have Jeremy, the IT guy, on the webinars.
Listen, Dean says Gary's watching. Oh my goodness. That's so funny. Dean, I mean, Jeremy, hey, listen, you said it, buddy.
Right. You said it.
I'm sorry.
So good. All right, guys, listen, this has been so much fun. I appreciate everyone watching. If they want to reach out to Conversion Monster, conversion-monster.com. And when it's released in the marketplace and it's able to be connected, is there going to be some announcement or something?
Oh, we're going to be screaming it from rooftops.
Yeah.
Well, Vishal said you're going to be our salesperson, so we were hoping it was going to be you, Nick. That's good.
I'll announce it for sure. But, all right.
I think they said they're gonna circulate it once it's officially it's in the coming soon in the marketplace right now. But I just want everybody to know too that we're still working with command leads right now. It's not integrated, but we're using Zapier and it's a one way. So It's not stopping us. It's just not integrated at the moment. So yes.
I mean, you guys could, if you wanted to sign up, you could do it now.
Yeah. Yep. It's not stopping us.
And then when it goes live, it'll just be a seamless thing. All right, guys. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Nick.
Thanks for having us, Nick.
Thanks, guys. Good seeing everybody. Thank you so much.